Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel once more, or for new subscribers, welcome in the first place. My name is Barry Naroff. I'm a New York State licensed psychotherapist and a professional spiritual intuitive. Today, the topic is going to be on something that, at least in my view, is a world plague, but a psychological one. I believe, though I don't have any data, but I believe it's endemic to all Western or Westernized cultures, and that is the plague of lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth. And this particular dynamic cripples vast millions or probably billions of people all over the world. And the cause is relatively simple and straightforward. There is a metaphysical cause and, of course, a psychological one. Very briefly, and I don't want to be all old school Freudian, but in this instance, it definitely does go back to early childhood. So what happens when you're a child is children, starting maybe at the age of 2.5, really need love and support from their parents, and they need unconditional love. They need to have it given to them, whether they're doing well or if they're bad. They need to know, of course, that what they've done is not acceptable, but they also need to know that no matter what they do, they are loved. What this does is this creates a sense of security, confidence within the self. And this, later on in life, comes out as a sense of self-worth and self-esteem. This sense of confidence and self-worth is in the first chakra. It's where the sense of who you really are, the true self, comes from. It's not the persona, which is everyone has a personality that they display to the world. It's called a persona. It's composed partly of genuine aspects of yourself, but also aspects that you put on, and it's not conscious, but you create a certain image for yourself. This is what you project to the world. And everybody has one. And you know, the old expression, oh, come on, get real. What get real really means is show who you really are, not the image that you have carefully constructed over years or decades. And most people are so used to projecting this particular image, they forget who they really are. And that's unfortunate. But going back to the topic of self-worth and self-esteem, if you don't have this inner foundation of self-love, primarily from parents, sometimes it comes from close relatives or siblings, occasionally even friends, but it's really something you get from your family. And the unconditional love generates that confidence which comes out of self-love. And self-love is the key component behind self-esteem and self-worth. Now, you're out in the world and you want to do something. You want to get a job. You want to sell your talent. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. You have to feel you're worthy. You're good enough. You have to feel really good about yourself so that you can go ahead and promote yourself, sell yourself, show your competency. And so many people fall down on this. But there's a flip side. And the flip side is the superiority complex, which a lot of people also possess. Now, the superiority or sense that I'm really better than everybody else, that comes out in a manner that sometimes braggart, sometimes somewhat obnoxious, but they have no problems displaying confidence. They have no problems saying who they are and why they're good. But it's an exaggerated form, and generally people see through this because it's a veneer, it's a coating. And people who have this sense of superiority complex, they feel they're better than everybody else. And quite frankly, it tends to turn everybody else off because they're not better. What happens is people who have this way of viewing themselves actually have very deep and profound lack of self-love, lack of confidence, lack of nurturance. So it's a form of compensation. And they compensate for what they don't have by displaying, oh, but I have so much and you have nothing compared to me. But actually, they're empty and hollow inside. They're generally in pain. They don't have that inner foundation, so they need to fake it. And people who feel superior eventually always fall flat on their face because they will come up to a situation where they really need to draw on their inner resources. And guess what? The inner resources are just not there. So we're going back to the people who have that inner sense of confidence and strength. Now, it's not their parents' fault that they haven't given it to them. Yeah, it's their responsibility. But how many parents got it from their parents? How many people who did not get it from their parents know how to develop it and access it within themselves so that they can transmit it to their children? Very, very few. And the dynamic is not that parents don't try. Parents always want the best for their kid. And most of the time, don't know how to give it. There are many, many beliefs that this is true in many cultures, in the East and in the West, that the best way it is believed by parents to motivate children is to always tell them their faults. Oh, you're no good at this. What's the matter? You couldn't get 100? You weren't number one? Oh, you're never going to amount to anything. It's a way of motivating the children, a way of getting the children to work harder. It always fails because what it does is children don't see this as a form of love and encouragement, which is what it really is. They see it as the words have truth. Oh, I'm no good. I always fail. I'll never succeed. How can I possibly trust myself? These are the overt messages that the parents give them in this subliminal attempt to get them to be motivated, to be accomplished, to succeed, and it always fails. Then, of course, there are the parents who are perfectionists and expect their children to be perfect. Well, who on earth is perfect? So kids always measure themselves up to this incredibly unrealistic standard. Can't meet it, feel I'm no good, I'm worthless, I'm a failure. And some parents are very encouraging. Always say, anything you can do, you'll succeed in. You'll always be good. But unfortunately, if they haven't given the child this inner sense of confidence. The words are not enough. And the children will still feel inadequate. But then they will have a horrible burden of guilt because they'll say, oh, my parents expect so much of me. They said I'm so bright, I'm so talented, and look at me. I can't do any of it. So they feel tremendous guilt and shame, which of course is a very powerful form of lack of self-worth and low self-esteem. There is a way to get it. It's not simple. Now, being a psychotherapist, I know how to do it the way that I do it. I'm sure there are other ways, probably through spiritual practice and meditation, one can most likely come to the same place. But being a psychotherapist, I know my way. And that is, almost everybody has had at least one instance of being loved. Some people have only had an hour, but they had it. I did come across one person in all my years of practice who never had it. His parents were totally absent emotionally. They didn't give him feedback, positive or negative. No matter what he did, no reaction. And he really had no self-love, ever. With the result that he always had anxiety because the foundational support of being a person was never given to him. But that aside, everybody has had at least some instance. And what I do is I take them down. It's in the first chakra, usually bottom of the first. And they can remember, oh yes, when I was 5, I visited my Aunt May. And she loved me. She showered me. I was just there for an hour, but it's the experience that I remember. It's the time where I got unconditional love. Excuse me. And that is enough to tap into, which they can then access and utilize once they go down and they familiarize themselves. What did love really feel like? And then it can be built and grown and spread throughout the person so that their sense of self-love can be grown, and eventually they can become whole and worthy and full of true self-esteem. So I hope this has been of interest. Again, my name is Barry Naroff. I'm a professional intuitive and New York State licensed psychotherapist. If you want to contact me, I do readings and I also do therapy sessions. And I take insurance. You may reach me at barry@birthrighttherapy.com. If you want to know more about me, feel free to look up my webpage, which is Birthright Therapy. And under the video, feel free to make a comment. If you have a question, you can put it in the comments section, or better yet, write me at my email address. And please, if you like what you're hearing, it's interesting to you, do subscribe and ring that bell so you'll be notified in the future of the next videos. Thank you. And until the next time, be well.